The movie Madeline starts with two married scientists, Madeline and Owen, working tirelessly in their garage. They were doing multiple calculations and doing experiments. Madeline explains that in every science experiment, you must establish rules. And the greater the experiment, the more important the rules. But we have to throw the rules out. The experiment goes wrong. Owen connects the power plugs as they get ready for Doc's experiment, apple test and trial 1. Madeline asks him to hand her an apple, but he hands her an orange instead. She tells him she specifically wants apples, and it's about the symbolism, not the fruit. They placed the orange in the pastime travel container and initiated the test. After a few electrical zappings, the device powers down and the orange disappears from the container. They quickly started tracking and taking notes of the conditions and timed it. In 15 seconds, it should be rematerialized in the future time travel container. It didn't show up at the perfect timing, so they checked if their calculations had flaws, but it took a while and appeared after a couple of seconds. The orange successfully rematerialized exactly 1 minute into the future. Madeline was still unsure whether or not it was the same orange and suggested they redo it. But Owen told her they did it, and that they could fix minor adjustments, but for the time being, be happy about their progress. Later on, they were celebrating their achievement with their sponsor, Rory. He asked them what their next step was, whether they would want to reverse what they did and send the orange from the future to the past. Madeline tells him that they will be running more tests for now, but Owen wants to take it to the next level and starts a mouse test. Owen wanted to conquer flesh in their next experiment, but Madeline disagreed and said that they would be doing the same tests again to replicate the results. Owen asks her how many tests she will finally be comfortable doing the mouse test, and Madeline says 50. After their dinner with Rory, Owen tries to talk Madeline into the live mouse testing so they can get more funds for their experiment, but she refuses, saying she is not ready and doesn't want to kill multiple animals in the process. Owen tells Madeline that Rory is spending a lot of his money on them, so they have to be able to deliver this as soon as possible, and that it's time to move forward. They have successfully teleported many fruits. They are ready to take it to the next level by testing on live subjects. Madeline finally agrees to do the test. They start their first test by using a mouse. After turning the device on and running it, they eagerly waited to see what would happen to the mouse. Unfortunately, the mouse exploded into pieces while he was in the future time container, and their test failed. Madeline was upset that Owen pushed her into doing this and failing miserably, so she started drinking. Enraged by the whole thing, Madeline decides to take part in the experiment by teleporting herself. She leaves a message that she found the error in the calculation and decided to take action herself, not seeking Owen's permission. She has perfected the wearable version and decided to use it. She turned the device on and put on the wearable mask. She then instantly teleported and disappeared. After an hour, she woke up and she found herself in their yard, unconscious. Owen saw her and came quickly to get her up. He was worried about what happened, but he was glad Madeline was safe and sound. They were both glad that the experiment they had been working on all this time had finally paid off. He told her that he wanted to document her whole experience. The next day, Owen was collecting samples for the experiment when suddenly there was another version of Madeline behind him, and she tried to fight and kill him. Owen was not aware of what was going on. As he was struggling to defend himself, he accidentally killed her. He was shocked and tried to wake her up, but as he looked up, Madeline was standing right in front of him, asking him what was going on. He was further shocked to find out that the Madeline he killed was not her, but the other version. Owen and Madeline tried to figure out what caused all of this, and Owen asked Madeline if she had made a mistake. She was hesitant at first, but she remembered what might be the error. She accidentally created a loop with the code she created in case anything didn't go as planned. Owen nervously started to calculate what the outcome was, as she had gone for an hour, and the code had been cycling for an hour, so it created a certain number of loops. In this case, it was 3,600. 3,600 versions of her will be showing up every day for the next 9 years at the same time. And the one Owen killed was the first one. Owen tells Madeline that they would have to kill the other versions, because that would be the only logical thing to do in order not to mess up the order of the universe. Madeline was angry at Owen at the time she teleported, so her other versions will also inherit this behavior and try to kill Owen. Madeline didn't like the idea of killing the other Madelines, but Owen convinced her that it was going to be either them or the other versions. The following day, Owen was practicing how he was going to kill the other version that was going to appear today. When she finally arrived, he walked to her and stabbed her in the neck. He covered the body and took it inside the garage. When he returned, he told Madeline that he was going to find an easier way to kill the others because today's was hard. He then went to the internet and searched for humane execution methods. He then decided to use poisonous gas to assassinate the other versions of Madeline. He put a tent in the exact place the other Madelines appeared and prepared to use it for the poisonous gas leak. He set the alarm and patiently waited till it was time. The alarm eventually went off, and he turned on the gas, killing the other Madeline who just appeared. Using this technique, they started killing off several versions of Madeline. They started documenting Madeline's experience in the 1 hour she teleported. She remembered being in a hot desert in the middle of nowhere. One time, when he was ready to kill the other version as the alarm went off, he sensed no movement. When he opened the tent and checked, he found out that the other version was already dead before he was going to release the poison. They later find out that she killed herself before they ever got to kill her. Madeline proposed an idea that would help them stop this once and for all. She volunteered to go back in time and stop her from doing it alone and teleporting for the first time. Owen didn't want to risk it because the situation was complicated enough as it was. Maddie wanted to witness the killing the next day and showed up in the yard. Owen told her to go back inside, but she calmed him down by saying it was okay because they wouldn't exist at the same time as the other would be dead. After that, she proposed to talk to her without killing her first. That didn't go well, as the other version instantly tried to stab Owen by getting on top of him. With the help of the original Madeline, he was able to kill her at once. Madeline starts helping out in the killing of the other versions of her, which brings her closer to her husband, Owen. Unusually, she decided to wear her wedding ring to commemorate their time together. On one random day, Madeline rekindles the idea of catching the other version and talking to her, but Owen is strongly against the idea, so they start arguing. While arguing, the alarm goes off and the other version appears. As Owen is going to kill her using a knife, she redirects it, making him stab the original Madeline. Shocked by what happened, both Owen and the other version, which is the 51st version, leave the scene and go inside to talk. The new Madeline seems to be okay with what's going on and agrees to continue their lives as if nothing happened. But Owen is still a little shaken about it, even though it's still here but 50 days in the future. She put her hair up to individualize herself from the other Madelines. Owen, on the other hand, was feeling distant from the new Madeline as things hadn't exactly gone according to plan. He proposed the idea of the original Madeline, which is to go back and stop the root that caused all this mess in the first place. But the new Madeline was okay with living like this and didn't want anything to change at all. She told him she would take care of things with Rory and went to him together. When they got there, Rory told Owen that Madeline wanted to talk with only them two and told him to wait outside. Confused, Owen waited for them to finish their conversation. The new Madeline told Rory everything and asked for his help. Rory offered to send them a car to dispose of the bodies they had been keeping in their house. Owen tried to hide things from Rory, but he told him he already knew and that they had to accept his help since they didn't have things under control. Owen tried on his own to reverse the whole experiment from the start using an apple test, but wasn't successful in doing so. Owen then wakes up to the sound of the alarm and runs out to kill the other version that was going to come today. He was then hit from the back by a version of Madeline that had a scar on her face. He wakes up tied to the chair while there is a new version of Madeline in the room. He immediately recognizes her and tells her that she's version 115 from the scar on her face as it seems. She tells him that they're all the same and that he should accept the idea. Suddenly the alarm goes off and he tries to untie himself to kill the other version that will be coming. But he hears noises that sound like Madeline's voice. The latest Madeline version, version 115, tells him that they're welcoming a new Madeline and takes him outside. When he was outside, there were a bunch of versions of Madeline coexisting. Owen couldn't believe what was going on. He told her to immediately stop, because this would unravel the whole space and time. But at this point, the clones have taken over. A version of Madeline sneaks to where Owen is held captive and tries to rekindle things with him, but he mistakes her for being version 51, and when she finds out that, she isn't really happy about it. But as they were arguing, version 115 came and killed her, saying shouldn't be trusting the new Madelines. Owen wakes up again and finds himself outside with version 51 of Madeline. She gets him out of the room he was in and takes him to Rory's. She has told Rory what has been going on. They tell Owen that they should go back and fix what created this problem in the first place. Madeline 51 tells him to stop the first original Madeline from teleporting. He tells her he already tried with the apple test, but couldn't. And then she shows him that his apple test was successful and has the apple with her. She told him she found it at the place where the Madelines appeared. He finally uses the wearables to travel and stop her. When he wakes up, he finds himself in the middle of the desert, sees the camper, and goes to it. He runs into Madeline sitting inside the camper and asks her where he is. She tells him he's in the future accidentally when he wants to go to the past to stop her. 115, Madeline had already put a note saying Owen is trying to kill them, and then she stabs him while he slices parts of her cheek. He was then transformed to another place with several versions of Madeline with him. At the end of the movie, we see Owen and his brutal fate, where he will be killed only to be replaced with another version, and it's a never-ending loop. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our recap. Like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.